4 o'clock, call to order the Board of Health meeting for May 10th, 2022. We'll go to roll call. Diaz.
I'm here.
Kevin Perkins.
Here.
And I'm here, Dennis O'Connell. First up on the agenda is to approve the minutes for April 5th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 5th.
I'll second that motion. It's Kevin.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene.
Yes.
And Kevin.
Yes.
And I'm a yes also. Next up is Lisa Green here? No?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Next up is Alan Diaz, the complaints that he issued with the department. Mr. Diaz.
Yes, I'm here.
Well,
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. I did not issue any complaints with this board. So can you either read those complaints or tell me what you're talking about? I made a request to be on the agenda because of some action that the board took on a property that I control, map 1, lot 1282 on Snow Street. So I have no idea about any complaints. So if you got some complaints there, why don't you read them into the record, sir?
Teresa, do we have any complaints on record that would like to introduce?
Not to be read into the record, no, because it's disparaging against me.
Okay. Then why don't you go ahead with the topic that you'd like to discuss, Mr. Diaz?
Okay, for the record, there is no April 21st complaint that I filed. The reason I made a request to be on the agenda, and that request again was not honored by Ms. Cosio. The board took some sort of an action last week regarding Snow Street property, map 1, lot 1282. I did get an email from Ms. Cosio the morning of that meeting, a few hours before the meeting. I responded that I would not be available, and I requested any information she wanted regarding that lot to be in writing. That I did not receive, nor did I receive anything from the board relative to whatever action they took, nor have I been provided last month's meeting minutes.
Teresa, do we have, how would you like to address that?
It's not for me to address. The health agent is coming over.
Okay, thank you. Gil?
Okay, the second set of minutes your requesting hasn't been approved yet, which just got approved this afternoon here, and I will forward them to you in the next day or so.
Mr. Diaz, did you get that?
No, I'm sorry, I did not.
He said that we just approved the minutes for last month, and he's going to forward the minutes over to you.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate that. I could have been provided draft minutes because I'm curious as to what specific action the board took at the last meeting regarding this particular lot. That's what I'm here for.
I can't recall offhand. Teresa, could you tell me if we took any action last meeting on the Snow Street lot?
Okay, I believe it stated you had to resubmit the plan in the application again.
That was the expired plan? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Diaz, what happened was that plan was left out on a desk. I'm going to take responsibility for this. The plan was left out on a desk we weren't sure whether it had been submitted or not. So I told Teresa to put you on the agenda just as a precaution, just in case, because we weren't sure. And that's the only reason you were placed on the agenda. I don't know whether someone had come in the office to look at those plans and just forgot to put them back in the file cabinet. But just as a precaution, I had you put on the agenda. And that was the only reason you were on there.
Okay, I would have appreciated a little bit of notice. I do understand that it's up to the chair's discretion to put anything on the agenda. Reasonable notice should be noted.
The only reason I put you on was because, I know you were having issues and I didn't want to, anymore. I didn't want you to have any more issues. So I was just taking a precaution.
Okay, well, Mr. Chairman, I believe from reviewing, I haven't looked at the minutes, reviewing the tape, that plan, in fact, was submitted, to give you some background, was submitted in 1995, was again resubmitted in the early 2000s. And then I recently, at my discretion, updated the plan to include those structures and any other items that were built since the original plan. When I submitted the original plan, I paid a fee. When I submitted the second plan, I submitted a fee. That's part of the record. And what I heard on the tape was, and let me just stop for a second, I do understand that the permit and the application has expired. And once I get that property a little closer, I will file a new application. But Ms. Cosio made a point that I'm going to pay new fees. That's on the record. So how do you want to address that?
It's, Teresa, is that that's normal procedure, isn't it? Teresa?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I've been a licensed installer for over 30 years in the town of Halifax. I've encountered this particular situation where I've taken 10 years from the time we submitted a plan and the time that we've finally dug ground for whatever reason. And all of them circumstances did require a resubmission of plans which were updated. All right. If in fact there was a change in the fees, those fees were submitted. In the event that there was no additional fees. There is no change in that plan from the original plan other than adding a house and a well. All right. And I take objection to the fact that Ms. Cosio wants me to pay another $400 and something in fees when past practice has not required that.
Gil, did you want to address that?
Yes, I believe the additional fees came from me, and it was supposed to go for the board to discuss these fees, where the fees were paid double. So that was part of the plan coming before the board, what the board is going to do about the fees that he had paid in the previous applications.
So that's, what are you telling me, that it's something we haven't discussed yet?
Yes, because it hasn't been resubmitted yet.
Okay, so upon resubmission, would address that issue, Mr. Diaz.
Okay, you have a new plan resubmitted.
Okay.
Resubmitted about 3 months ago.
The board has to take on its own. The board has to make a decision.
Say that again. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the plan was submitted on March 3rd. Excuse me. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. That plan was recently updated in the spring. Let me just see. It was updated. It was updated 11/29/21. And it was resubmitted shortly thereafter. So 4 or 5 months later, it's sitting on someone's desk and it needs to have the new fees paid, I don't have a problem, sir, with filing a new application. That new application will be submitted once that property is sold, which will determine who the new installer is. I have no problem with that. I have no problem if the board feels as though that the plan itself needs to be re-reviewed, although nothing has changed in the septic system design. So that's typically something that the agent would look at. But based on Ms. Cosio's representation, I'm not paying the additional fees. That I can tell you.
What do you think, Gil?
That's
Is this
like I
something?
said earlier, board decision.
But
Not a decision by
it
myself or Ms. Cosio. It's a board decision.
Mr. Chairman, I have to warn you that this matter has not been properly posted on your agenda. Any vote that this board takes, okay, would be subject to open meeting law violations. I'm just putting you on notice. The board can do whatever it wants.
No, I was just looking, I was just trying to determine whether to, whether the fees were warranted or not. I wasn't looking to take a vote on anything.
Dennis,
Yes,
are we talking about application fees or plan fees? I'm a little confused.
I am also. That's what I was trying to differentiate. Gil, could you clear any of this up?
Application fees. My suggestion, I really strongly suggest that this be revisited and placed on the agenda properly, and also, the board to make a decision on the application fees.
Okay, so Mr. Diaz, would you like to be placed on for next month?
Mr. Connell, this is 3 months in a row that I've been asked to be placed on the agenda for issues, and it doesn't happen. It has not happened. I have a letter from April 21st. It was received by the Hanson Board of Health office on April 28th. And that's my request. Your agenda appears to be some ADS. Well, there happens to be 4 ADSs, and it's regarding a complaint. So are you going to guarantee me that the proper posting will be done for your next meeting?
I can give you my assurances that the new board will do its best to accommodate you.
Okay. And that the proper posting will be applied. What information does the board need from me?
The agent will be in touch with you on everything that will be required by the department.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to have the record reflect that. And your agenda regarding a complaint, how do you want to address that, sir?
We're not going to address anything today. Nothing will be introduced on record. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I thank you, sir.
Have a good day. Thank you so much. Okay. Next up is the 2023 budget review.
Dennis,
Yes.
would it make more sense for us to do maybe the recycling, move to the septic plans and not hold any of those people up? Because the budget's going to be a lengthy discussion.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll skip right ahead to the septic plans then. We'll go to 51 Orchard Ave, Mr. Webby. Is he here? No. Mr. Webby's not here? No. Has everyone had a chance to look at the design plans?
Yes.
Kevin, you all set on those?
Yes, I looked at them, Dennis. I don't see anything that jumps out at me. As long as all the review comments were addressed, I don't see any concern.
All right. I'll entertain a motion if everyone's happy with it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the plans for 51 Orchard Avenue.
I'll second that motion. It's Kevin.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and I'm a yes also. I lost my agenda here somewhere. I lost it. What's up next?
101 Perry.
All right. If everyone's had a chance to, is anyone here represent 101 Perry?
Yes, Rick Grady from Grady Consulting.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
I'll have to just warn you that I'm entering the Ted Williams Tunnel here, so if you lose me, I'm not ignoring you. I'm bringing my daughter to the airport. This is a septic repair, obviously. We're proposing a jet treatment system so that we can take advantage of a 2-foot reduction in the separation to groundwater.
Excuse me for one second. Is this 102 Perry Ave or 101 Perry Ave?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this for the Shepherds?
It's 102, correct? You're discussing?
Yes. Yeah, I don't have the plan right in front of me. Sorry.
Yeah, they were discussing 101, but
Oh,
up to the board.
Yeah, 102's down.
Sorry for
101 and 102 Perry on the agenda.
Yeah, 101 was McGlone. Shane McGlone
Shane,
designed
right.
that system. 101.
So did we lose him?
Oh, I'm still here. Okay, should I keep going with 102 or do you want to go back to 101?
No, go ahead with 102. You're fine.
Okay, so on 102, we're proposing a jet treatment system. The owners have some really nice landscaping and trees in the front yard, so we're actually able to design a system below their existing driveway, which needs to be replaced anyways. So we're proposing Curtec precast concrete chambers, which is suitable for H20 loading below the driveway, venting obviously, and then they're able to repave the driveway over the system without disrupting the area in the front yard. We are requesting a local upgrade for reduction of the setback to the foundation. I believe it's approximately 15 feet to the foundation instead of 20. I think it actually laid in here pretty well. No substantial changes to grade, so the driveway will still appear pretty close to the grade that it is today. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for the gentleman? If everyone's happy with it, I'll entertain.
Sounds like it makes sense to me.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve. Yeah, I'll make a motion, Dennis, that we approve the proposed plan for 102 Perry Ave.
I'll second.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Next up is 101 Perry Ave, Mr. McGlone. No one here representing them? No. If everyone had a chance to look at the plans, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah. Go ahead, Arlene. I was just going to say real quick that it just looks like the only review comment that came back from Mr. Donovan was just that the plan shows 4 bedrooms existing, and then the design calculations show 3-bedroom. I don't know if that had been addressed. Teresa, do you have any idea if that had been addressed?
Yes, we received revised plans.
Okay,
And
I
that's
have no
what-
concern.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
you.
I'll make a motion that we accept 101 Perry Avenue.
I'll second that motion. It's Kevin.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and I'm a yes also. Next up, we have 761 Main Street. Morse Engineering.
764 Main.
Oh, it says 761. Okay, 764 Main Street. Anyone here represent Morse? No. If everyone had a chance to review the plans, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the plans for 761 Main Street.
764 Main Street.
Oh, well, you know what? On the agenda, it says one. All right, 764 Main Street.
Okay.
I'll second that motion, Dennis. It's Kevin.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and I'm a yes also. Next up, old unfinished business. Oh, do we want to? What do we want to? We want to go to the budget, or we want to discuss the room first?
Dennis, can we take the recycling notification and the can room and then move to the budget?
Sure.
Is Gil going to talk about the recycling notification?
Yes, I am. Okay, on the recycling notification and the policy, we got notified by the state last week that what we normally put in every year is not up to their standard, and we have scanned what they would like to see from a couple of the towns. My suggestion is following what they suggest is the actual recycling policy and the notification. That's what they would like to have, put into the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program. So I think if we just go on those two things, they'll accept that right away. They just have to change the language and get it approved by the selectmen and the board. So always had a chance to review it.
What, the policy?
Yes, we have the policy, okay, and then we have the regulations for it. So
you've updated the policy, right?
No, I haven't updated it yet. This is the one the state suggested that we use.
Okay, and then once that happens, you're going to send it to Lisa so she can send it out to everyone.
Yes, it goes to.
Should be our department head.
Kathy Budnott. Oh, as far as the department, yeah, it'll go to Lisa. Once I review, once I do all this, it'll go to Lisa.
Because that has to be done, I believe, by the 15th in order for us to put it into retract.
I'm going to ask her because we just got this last Thursday. This came from the state Thursday, May 4th.
Right, but we have
Wednesday.
A deadline in
retract.
I'm
going to call her and see if we can extend that, because by the time we do it and the selectmen, do it, it's going to be their next meeting, after the next meeting probably. So I'll give it, as soon as I, get this squared away, I'll give it to Lisa.
What are those letters from the town of Dennis? What are those in reference to?
That's the buy policy. Read it. The buy recycle policy.
Yeah.
This is the annual notification.
Now, is that something we're recommended to follow, or?
Yes. No, that's what the the way this is set up and the language and everything. This is what the state is suggesting. They picked the two best that they've gone through, and these are the that they'd like to see us use. Just change it to our town. So.
Yeah.
So the memorandum, the buy recycle policy, annual notification, and the recycle product procurement policy. That's your recycle policy you'll adopt.
Any questions for Gil?
You should vote the policy, these two policies, and edit it the way it should be for the town of Hanson.
So you want us to take a vote to adopt the policies, Gil?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion that we adopt these new policies instituted by the state.
I will make a motion that we accept the updated recycling policy.
I'll second that motion. Kevin.
Memorandum.
And memorandum.
And we'll go to roll call. Whoop.
I'll second that, Dennis.
Thank you. And we'll go to roll call. Eileen?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
I'm a yes also. Access to the canned bottle room. Is that something for Gil?
No. So I received a call from Parks and Fields regarding the can room and if it could be reopened. So it has been reopened. They have come to an agreement with the different sports teams in town to maintain the room. Gil went over and he said it looked really, really good. So Adam, who I believe he's the chair of that, I'm not sure, but I know he's at least a member, asked if the board would allow for people other than residents to drop off cans and bottles at the can room.
We used to do that before, didn't we?
No.
So back in 2017, the board that then said it was okay for people to have access to the transfer station for the sole purpose of dropping off bottles and cans. A vote was never taken, so I would like, a vote on that, if possible, and also what, if you guys are acceptable to outside residents or outside people dropping bottles and cans off at the transfer station. I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if you want it to just be Hanson, or if you want it to be Whitman and Hanson, or I don't know. But I told him I would ask.
Okay. So first we'll take a vote on access to the room.
Yeah, so residents can have access to the bottle and can room without a sticker.
How would we handle the flow, traffic flow?
Well, I mean, it's already allowed. The board back in 2017 allowed it, but there was no vote taken. So it's just restipulating with a vote.
Okay. And then the second part of that question is do we allow just people from Hanson?
Correct. Right. Do you want to allow people from other towns to drop off bottles and cans, or do you want to restrict it to just Hanson residents?
They had so many issues before with it being overfull and them not being able to.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty good system set up now. So they're going to have Brian, who is a part-time employee at the transfer station.
Yes.
When he's not working at the transfer station, in his own free time, he is taking all the bottles and cans and bringing them to the redemption center for Parks and Fields. And then they're going to pay him. He has an arrangement with them that has nothing to do with the Board of Health or the transfer station.
Okay.
He's taking everything. So there's somebody on site on a regular basis that's transporting from point A to point B.
Are they going to give us contact information and information about who's responsible? Like if it's each group is responsible for a month, are we going to have that information? So if there are issues, we know who to contact?
I think if there's a problem, we could call Parks and Fields. Oh, hold on one second, because Jim Hickey is here and he says he can answer that.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Chair and the rest of the Board of Health, Kevin and Arlene, I went to the Parks and Fields meeting last night. It's not only sports groups, it's troops, 34 or 64, the Boy Scouts. And the next 6 months, were planned out, starting with baseball, then going to soccer, softball, football, and then the last one in September will be the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
And Arlene, I'm sure that it's not necessarily the, the president or the chair of each sports group, but it's just a representative from each sports group that is now a member of Parks and Fields.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they can get a contact number for each of the representatives.
Okay.
When Kenny leaves, I'm going to be the official liaison to Parks and Fields.
All right, because it would be nice if we know which month, which group, and who to contact in that group.
Sure. I'll give Adam a call, and he can get it up here to Teresa.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Adam.
I don't have any more questions.
May I? I was just going to say, maybe we could just contact Adam. Is he the chair?
Adam's been very easy to work with in the past.
Yeah, so Adam is the chair of Parks and Fields. So I would say instead of contacting individual groups, contact the chair and have them, because they're the ones that are reaping the benefit of the bottles and cans. So
that's fine, as long as we have somebody that we know that's going to be, we're going to be contacting.
Right, yeah, so we can contact Adam.
All right.
If you guys are okay with that. That would be my recommendation.
So Arlene, was your concern the pickup? Because I know before when they were slow on the pickup, a lot of bugs showed up, and all that situation.
My concern is if we open it to other towns, were they going to be able to keep up with the flow? So I don't know if we want to open it up to Hanson first, and then if things go well, open it up to other towns, and then they can notify other people that they could bring their cans and bottles. I know that they just got completely overwhelmed the last time.
I think it'll help that somebody is on site on a regular basis, that person being Brian, who's the one that's organizing and, or assisting to organize, I should say. It's not all his responsibility. And taking them out and bringing them to the Redemption Center.
Right.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. I'm sorry to interject again. It's Arlene, it's not other towns. It's really just one other town.
Whitman?
It's Whitman, because, some of the sports are combined.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
then
and
I
they
don't
really
have a
just
problem
wanted
with
to
that.
give, the Whitman parents a chance to, donate the cans.
Yeah, okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Cool.
So can we get a motion on Hanson
Yeah.
residents?
I'll entertain a motion to allow people with nod stickers from both towns to use the transfer station to drop off recyclable cans and bottles to support the sports teams.
I'll second.
We'll go to roll call. Arlene?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
And I'm a yes also. Thank you, Jimmy.
And I'm sorry. Just so you know, Adam had done it last month, and the number was $400 for the month. So I just wanted to thank you on behalf of Parks and Fields, because that's going to boost, what they have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Arlene, you made that motion, right?
I did.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
We want to go to the budget now? Are we ready for that?
Yep, because the only other thing we didn't do was set a meeting date, so.
Oh, wait, we didn't do the Camp Kiwanee.
Okay.
Did you do a different agenda?
Yes, I sent you a revised agenda yesterday.
Oh, and I printed out the other one. Okay.
So there's an event at the camp on June 5th. There is a caterer hired for the event. There are, bear with me, 125 people going to this event. So as you guys are aware, 75 or more people, you're required to have a caterer. So they do have a caterer. However, somebody that's affiliated with this event, I believe it's the family that contracted with Kewanee to have the event, works at Silver Lake High School in the culinary department. He wants to bring in cookies and cupcakes for 125 people. They did fill out the catering application and they paid the fee, but they do not carry liability insurance. He does not have liability insurance to cover in the event that somebody should get sick. I also spoke to the caterer that actually is catering the event, and he didn't seem happy to have to serve something
that he didn't make.
As he said, if it was coming from Market Basket, he trusts Market Basket. But when you have kids cooking, I'm sure they're doing a wonderful job. However, it sounded to me that he wasn't very comfortable with that. So I told the person that was hiring, that is having the function, that I would put it before the board if you would allow him to bring the things in without the certificate of insurance that's required on the catering application. Does that make sense?
It does, but it opens us up to liability.
Yeah, I agree with you, Arlene. That's always my concern is liability.
No. And I'm thinking, can he hand it out to guests as they leave and they take it home with them and go eat it someplace else? But them serving it at Camp Kewanee opens us to liability.
Getting it at Camp Kewanee.
Huh?
They're still receiving it at Camp Kewanee.
Yeah, and he's not willing to get the insurance or can't get the insurance?
Can't get the insurance. He said that Silver Lake Regional High School has a blanket permit and they wouldn't allow him to use it, or he doesn't have access to it.
Okay, yeah. That opens us up to liability. And then how do you prove that it was the cupcakes that made him sick or the meal that made him sick? It puts the caterer at risk.
The caterer in a bad position also.
Yeah, that's difficult. They're gonna have to.
Yeah, Dennis, this is Kevin. I mean, I just go on record just saying that I don't endorse anything that's gonna pose any liability to the town. That's a big thing of mine, just with my line of work, and liability is huge. So I'm not for anything that will have any type of liability on the town for waiving any type of insurance requirement.
And if we do that, we set a precedent. And how do we make everybody else get that same insurance that we have consistently made people have, the caterers have? That's unfair to the caterers. So I would have to say I wouldn't be in favor.
No, you have to think worst case scenario. 99% of the time, nothing bad happens, but nobody wants to think about that 1% when something happens and then who's holding the bag. So
right.
I don't support that at all.
Do we need a vote on that, Teresa?
That would be nice.
How do we word it? If we make a motion
that you're denying the request.
Okay, that we're denying the request because of a lack of insurance for that event.
Correct.
That was my motion.
Okay.
So I'll repeat it. I'm making a motion that we deny the request for the outside person that doesn't have insurance to provide that at Camp Kewanee.
Okay.
I'll second that motion to deny the request that is lacking proof of insurance.
And we'll go to roll call. Arlene?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Yes.
And I'm a yes also. Do we have a agent's report, Gil?
Yeah. Okay, I'll start off. We're able to get Liberty Pizza opened up yesterday, which did pretty good. They passed all the inspections and everything, so they're doing pretty good over there. So far, the place looks gorgeous. Have a chance to stop in there and see it. So they're open now. everybody's aware the chocolate shop is open. So things are going pretty good as far as food section. Reviewing a lot of the stores and whatnot, we're finding a lot of expired foods and stuff going through some of these convenience stores, so really concentrating on that a little bit. Got one in particular that had multitude of items expired, so really paying attention to that stuff. Moving along here, so I know you're going to get to COVID cases up a little bit. We're like a 7%, like 440 cases, which is kind of strange because these are people that have cases that have been reported to the state, and up a little bit of an uptick, and it looks like it is coming back a little bit. What else here? We had finally in my attempt here, these IA systems, middle school. They're going to finally repair that system. It's been out for over a year and a half. We've been bugging them, conservation myself. So finally, they are going to fix that septic systems now. So we've got that in writing. And I sent you that Public Health Excellent Grant Program. Moving forward with that. Marshfield's running that. Hopefully, they'll have a meeting in the next few weeks and go over some of the things that the towns have requested. There's quite a few things in it. If you reviewed it a little bit, you saw that. But hopefully, that'll work out good. Shared services through that grant program. One of the things we're looking at is possibly a public health nurse. So that's moving along. So just moving rather fast here. We can get to the budget. So that's about it. Any questions?
Just on the Indian Head repairs to the septic system.
Middle school.
The middle school. Wasn't that repaired not too long ago?
It never got done.
Oh, it never got done. Okay.
The BioClear system was never repaired, so finally.
I see. Because I knew it was an issue before. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they get a contract and everything for that now. So.
And have they started the work?
Wait for the parts to come in. So that's pretty much it. You want to move on here? So
I do have a question. Do you have your activity report?
No, I haven't. I just go by what I do day to day.
But you're required to do an activity report every month, and I haven't seen them, so that's why I keep asking for them.
Okay, I'll review that again, and
okay,
kind of had office in and out and everything. So, all right, we'll try to do better on that.
All right. Now the budget.
Any other questions for Gil?
Nope.
We'll go to the budget. As you guys know, we had to revise the budget after the town meeting. And it seems that the labor up at the transfer station took a hit by considerable amount. And the transfer fees also.
I was trying to figure out who went in and did this with the budget. Because we didn't get the amount of money that we asked for. Who determined where it came from, the $165,000?
We got this printout from Todd yesterday.
Okay, all right, that's what I wondered. I couldn't figure out.
And I asked him about the indirect costs, which indirect costs are the town's portion of medical insurance, life insurance, that type of thing.
Right.
That I have a PO for, and asked him, how are we supposed to pay that if there's no money in that line? And he said to hold on to the invoices because there's no money to pay them.
Oh, okay. So it was taken out of that line as well?
Yes. We requested $37,275 and we got zero. And we're already out of money on that line. Now we're asking for a $15,000 transfer.
Okay. All right.
Cover the cost. So it looks like for the most part, they took it out of the salary and the disposal services line and the indirect cost line.
So you think it was just those 3 lines that were affected?
It is those 3 lines, yes. Yep,
Yeah.
because everything else is the same.
All right. So. How do we, in terms of staff, how much what's the difference?
1,000, 43,000.
In the area of Jordan Hospital. They're unable to locate her. There's no callback phone number.
Somebody turn that down. Thank you.
25,000 on the labor.
Yeah, $25,000 short. So I think we have enough to get to October, but that's assuming people aren't calling out sick and we have to pay, somebody to come in and cover,
right,
that type of stuff.
So we're going to need to look at if we would a couple of different things. Do we reduce staff? Do we reduce hours? What difference would it make if the transfer station was closed 1 day or 2 days in terms of reducing staffing costs? But how do we have no control over disposal services.
Right, and I will say, I just got the latest invoice for April for disposal services for ABC.
Yep.
New Bedford Waste, Zero Waste. And they're tacking on, it's 14, I want to say it's $14.25 or $14.75 per haul for a gas increase.
Right.
So that's making it even higher.
And is that in that contract that they can do that? Is that allowable?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody started to say something, but I couldn't tell who it was. It was Dennis or Kevin.
No, nothing.
My input would just be, I don't know if maybe we can get some feedback from some of the employees at the transfer station, just on maybe, like you were saying, Arlene, what a slow day is, and maybe we could consider, closing an additional day.
But we have to look at the numbers. Does it make sense? How much money do we
I agree. I'm just saying, as far as, what day, maybe there's really not a lot of traffic. I mean, obviously people are going to go there when we're open, and once they figure out what our new schedule could possibly be. I'm just saying, I think that's probably the most,
Arlene, wasn't there a traffic study done a few years ago?
Yes.
Who has that information?
I should have it. I will look. Actually, Chief Mix gave us a machine, and we looked at the busier days.
But Tuesdays was really busy, if memory serves me correctly.
Which was it?
Tuesday. I thought you said Tuesday was really busy, but that was years ago. And
that was years ago. I can look it up, and I can see if I can ask if we can borrow that again to get a traffic flow idea that's more updated. That would help us gather the right information so we know what days would make the least impact in terms of people coming in, and then look at what other ways can we cut.
Gil says that Kevin Sullivan said that it's $40,000. If we close 1 day, we would save $40,000.
I thought I heard 20, not 40.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. What Kevin actually said was $20,000 to $40,000. Yeah. So Kevin left it wide open. I talked to Todd.
Oh, 20 to 40,000.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
I talked to Todd directly, and Todd told me $20,000.
That's what I had heard.
Is that maybe, Dennis, you talk to Todd and ask how much they save per day. That's what Todd told me, 20,000.
Okay, and do we have the part-time person only 2 days a week?
Yeah.
And only one person?
There's 2 full-time and 1 part-time.
Okay, yep, okay.
Yep. The part-time person works 16 hours a week, so 2 days.
Okay.
And the other 2 work 40 hours a week.
Right.
So basically, at $22,000 a day, if you closed it for 4 days, you still wouldn't even make up the shortfall, that the deficit that it runs for the year.
If you took it out of staff, and who's going to work a job where it's only 2 days a week?
That's what I'm saying. But
no, you can't take it all out of staff. No, There's got to be other ways.
No, what I'm saying is you have the 165,000 shortfall, and 4 days would only give you half of that were you to close the station for 4 days. What I'm saying is the transfer station is a failed business model.
Well, we've been saying that for years.
Yeah, I know. It's just who's going to have the gumption to do something about it, because people love it, and yet it's a major drain.
Well, I don't know if it's major. I don't know what we've had to ask for each year for the past couple of years. Has that number been higher? Is it continuing to go up? I don't know. And I don't know what other things.
Well,
what other things
it's always been going up. I mean, the fees, just the hauling fees and such, just the last few years,
they're going up
astronomically. Double-digit increases every single year.
Teresa, how is the new sticker sales going?
I think we're on our 61st sticker we've sold.
And people aren't even aware that they can get them yet.
Well, I put it in the paper at least twice.
Okay. So people aren't reluctant? Are they complaining about the cost?
Some are, some aren't. Yes.
No, which one?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, some are, some aren't. Some people come in and they have no issue with it whatsoever, and other people are like, forget it, I'm not doing it, and they turn and walk away. Or some people come in and they don't like it, they complain, but they still purchase it.
But there were people that wouldn't pay the $30 either when we did it 3 years ago.
So they're probably not even coming in.
No, that's fine. No, because they didn't want to do it when it was 30. So
right. Yeah. So, I mean, some people have been really upset. I mean, you can try to explain the cost to people, but if people, like in this day and age, only have, one lump of money to work with, it doesn't matter what anything costs, they still only have the one lump of money to work with, and they have to pick and choose.
Right.
And again, the fees that we increased to are still reasonable compared to
those haven't even increased yet. That's for July 1st.
Right. But they're considering, if you look at other towns, they're still lower than what you would pay.
Much lower. Yeah.
The cost of the sticker is significantly lower than any place around here.
And the problem is you couldn't do curbside service for less than the transfer station.
No.
I agree. I don't think you can.
And you can't get a reliable company. Somebody said something about getting a contract for 5 years. The company that was doing Whitman just decided they weren't going to do it anymore and gave them like a week's notice. Stop picking up the trash. So the contract doesn't protect you. It's a conundrum.
It is.
It really is.
That might have been me, Arlene, and I think I said 7 years because we would want the toters for free.
Yeah, but
I mean, and obviously we're just spitballing, and I don't want to throw fuel onto the fire, but where I'm a union guy, those guys that work full-time up at the transfer station are part of the highway union.
Correct.
If the Board of Health or whatever we decide to do, they still have to get 40 hours.
That's
which
right.
is what I brought up to Todd.
You brought it up at one of the meetings as well.
Right. We're only saving $20,000. We'll just say it's $20,000. We're only saving $20,000 each day that it's closed, but it's only salary. Those guys still have to get paid. They have to work 40 hours.
So then you're saying that what we would do is we would move that cost over to highway, and does highway have that money?
Exactly.
Right. So this is a can of worms.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
But what do you do if you close it? What happens? Where do people go?
Then you're going to have people, I always think, then you're going to have elderly people that are on a fixed income that can't afford trash pickup.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you can't do that. You can't.
Right.
This, of course, is just my opinion.
Not to mention,
you can't do that to elderly people and people on a fixed income.
Not to mention, that's their
the world and the single fathers of them. And People can't afford it, and then you're going to have stuff just thrown on the side of the road.
Yep. That's true. That is true. And I think having it open 2 days a week, you can't, what do you do with the staff the rest of the time? Where do they go? That's a
question.
Lots of pieces to take apart.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing we have to do is talk to Todd.
But the hardest part is going to be getting people to close that place because they love it. They love it.
I don't want to close it. I don't want to have to pay for a service that I'm not really going to use. I paid for a service. I was paying to have 1 bag a week picked up. I had much more recycling than I did trash. And I'm still only bringing 1 bag a week. Why would I want to pay, $300 or $400 a year for 1 bag a week?
Yep.
It depends on what your situation is.
Depends
Everybody's
on what?
situation is different. I only have 1 bag a week, but I have curbside because I don't have time to go to the transfer station.
Because you're bringing kids here, there, and everywhere. And I don't have to do that. So I have the time to go to the transfer station. And so for some people, it is a convenience. So it's a built-in cost that they incur because it's easier than having to deal with it. But for somebody who's older, who has the time to go to the transfer station and doesn't have the money to pay, none of those companies are cheap. None of them are absolutely 100% reliable. I talked to somebody who said it took a week to get somebody to come back and get their recycling when it was missed. They called every day and it still didn't get picked up. So, yeah, curbside's not always the answer.
They're all the same company now, aren't they?
Well, around here, I think pretty much it's been gobbled up by one company.
Yeah, one company runs the whole show.
So then they can do whatever they want with their prices. And if the town went to curbside, they would probably raise their prices because there's no competition.
Not if they're
don't have another outlet.
Not if they're under contract. And the problem, and I'm sorry to just keep jumping in, but part of the problem that Whitman has is they hired a non-union company. I picked up trash for over 30 years with Republic Services out of Quincy, and I have been union the whole time. So, yeah, and nothing against anybody that may be non-union, on this phone call. But, this country was built on union workers. So, I'll get off my soapbox, but unions not going to take a week.
Continue, Jim. Please continue.
No, but the union, it is going to cost you more because the company's going to be forced to pay a livable wage.
Yep, yeah, you're absolutely correct, Eileen, but you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
Right.
I agree.
So I guess we start with Todd, looking at the scenarios. And who do we talk to about if we had to reduce days where the staff goes?
Where else could they go besides highway?
Well, that we're going to have to talk to Jameson about that, aren't we?
Mr. Chair, may I chime in?
Yes. Oops, that was Lisa. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did you say okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, a couple of issues with that when you're dealing with union. Another department may not have the funds to just absorb the employees. Jameson's budget was also cut, so he's really just operating on a string budget as well. So unfortunately, we may have to look at layoffs if it comes down to that. We can talk with Todd about it, but I don't really see another department being able to absorb the employees if they're not already in their budget.
I understand. Yeah.
That it's very unfortunate. Trash is an issue, not just for the town of Hanson, but for everywhere in general. And it's definitely a challenge.
Well, that's something they'll have to work out where perhaps they, they can figure something out where it's only 25,000 for the year. But yes, it would have to be something that would have to be worked out between highway and and the Board of Health and Todd.
And unemployment comes with costs as well when you lay someone off, right?
Oh, yes. You have to pay the benefits. Yes, it does.
Oh, can I say something now? This is a town issue, so I think we all have to try to work together to try to resolve this. I mean, the costs are going up. The whole Northeast has been monopolized by trash right now. One company bought the whole Northeast, all independent hauls and everything, and they've got a big conglomerate going. And I think you're going to see, prices change. So it's something we all have to work on. It's just not going to be one department. It's going to be, everybody's got to work together. It's a town issue. It's a product that the town's producing, and we've got to get rid of it. So it's not going to be talked about in one session. So it's going to take a little bit. So I think we ought to concentrate on how we actually want to do this. Definitely start with Todd. I know there's some retained earnings. I don't know if he's going to apply them to this past fiscal year or next fiscal year. So, we'll have to just work out all the figures, see where the money's actually going and how we're doing it. So,
I have a question for about the retained earnings and the enterprise fund. What's going into that right now?
Nothing in retained earnings.
No, I know that we voted during town meeting to spend, there was like $25,000. What goes into that? What goes into the enterprise fund? How is that fund built?
That's the
bag
money
sales?
Bag sales and whatnot. When you exceed your costs and you're actually making a profit. Originally how pay-as-you-throw was developed. So you'd exceed your costs, and the money would go into retained earnings for future use.
Do we have an idea of how much goes into that account each month? How much is the bag sales generating? Because I don't think I can see that. Oh, maybe I'm not looking at all the pages, actually. I'm only looking at the page. I guess that's one question. How much are we really getting from bag sales? And that's not a question that has to be answered today, but I'd like to know. How much do we get from fees? That we charge for permits. And I'm not sure I can see that on here. So those would be some of the questions that I would have. How much are we actually bringing in each month on from the bags, and how much per month for the fees?
For March, it was $12,000.
For which?
For bags.
Okay.
Sales.
That was the transfer amount.
Okay. And do we know, is that consistent? Is it around the same every month? That can be something that we could talk about the next time we do it. I don't expect you to do that right now, Teresa. But it would be good. Huh?
Was February was 24,480.
In bags?
Because it could be, because a lot of times there's people that don't pay, so there's outstanding balances. And outgoing wire transfer for January was 14,080. But hang on. Back to March. So the accounts receivable aging report that's on for Waste Zero, 1 to 30 days past due is $4,400. 31 to 60 days is $7,400. 61 to 90 days past due is $8,300, and over 90 days is $7,680. So that's a considerable change.
Right, that's due to us. What about the kiosk? What is that generating?
Hold on. Oh, let me see. I don't have the number, but
okay.
I do that weekly. So last week was 329, then 417, 740. So it fluctuates between, like, I think the lowest I see is 30 and the highest I see is 500. So it depends. Yeah, okay. It depends.
All right, but I think that's all. We're gonna have to look at everything. We really are gonna have to look at everything.
You're gonna have to make major cuts somewhere.
Or find ways to get revenue.
That's all. But again, you know, it's tough trying to thread that needle. Because you know, if you raise the fees too much, you're risking losing the people that are going there now. And the
problem is that we never had a fee at all. When they did pay as you throw, even before pay as you throw, there should have been a fee because that was all coming out of taxes. And
right. And people got spoiled, Eileen.
I know they did. They did.
That's what happened. And
I don't have a problem.
Forever.
I have 2 cars. I get 2 stickers. I do not complain because it's still cheaper than having curbside.
Right.
I buy tons of bags. I buy 4 packages at a time. I don't have a problem with that because, again, it's still cheaper than curbside, but we're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And what do? Do we cut down to 2 days a week, and then how do we staff it? Because everybody needs full-time jobs. This is going to be an ongoing budget item on our agenda.
Yeah, you know.
But we have to look at every bit of money that we have. Now, I know we have DEP money, and we need to look at how we can spend some of that. I know we can pay for mattress costs out of that. We can do some hazardous waste out of that. But what else can we do out of that money that we have set aside that we've gotten from the grants? Because it all has to come into play.
Some big numbers got to be cut.
The problem is there's no place to cut it from.
I know. I agree with you again. I agree. But you know, every time you try to take a measure to increase revenues, and people get up in arms about it, you know.
Maybe we need some solar up at the transfer station. Cut our electric bill.
Yeah, like a couple acres worth, huh?
If we have that much land. I don't know if anybody else has any ideas about potential.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've already talked to Todd about you know, recycling money and you know, mattress recycling and hazardous waste and all that stuff. So he's well aware of that. So that's why what our next stop should be is with Todd and actually have a sit down with him when he has time. You know, it has been, you know, all balled up with the budget this year and everything, so we haven't really sat down with him. The guy works miracles.
Does he have time to talk with us, or?
Pardon?
Does he have time?
He will. He'll make time. It just, you know, everything's so, you know, so boggled up with the town meeting and everything, but he'll definitely make time. I mean, the guy does work miracles. He lays the numbers out so you can see it, and it looks real good when he does it. So, you know, last year, you know, Stanbrook and Todd did it, and everything worked out pretty good. So, you know, Todd does miracles, and we'll see what happens. So we know we have to make cuts, but let's put everything in perspective from where it is right now. So, okay?
I don't know about cuts, but I don't know. Anybody else have comments?
Any questions? Any answers? Joe, you all set on your report, or anything more to offer?
All set.
All set. Well, this is my last meeting on the Board of Health. And the last 3 years have been quite the education. I'd like to thank the department for that. And
It's been a pleasure working with you, Dennis.
thank you.
Dennis, are you going to set the next meeting date before you're done?
Yeah, that would be nice. Teresa, do we have any recommendations?
Yep, so June 7th is 4 weeks. June 14th is 5 weeks. Depends on how you want to do it, 4 or 5 weeks.
I can't do 7.
I was looking at the 5 weeks only because then you don't have to fiddle around with the 4th of July weekend, because then it would be 4 weeks would be after that.
Right, and I will be out of town on the 7th and would prefer the 14th.
Okay, and then the next question is virtual or in person?
That's up to you, kids.
It's the governor has extended remote meetings until July 15th, so it can be virtual.
So maybe we should make this our last virtual then. And starting in, because when would we have our July meeting?
July, the 12th.
The 12th?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to dip our toes back in the water at some point.
If you choose June 14th, then 4 weeks would be July 12th.
All right. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Not I.
During doing the virtual on the 14th and on July 12th? Virtual on the 14th and on July 12th?
You all set with that, Kevin? Yes.
Okay, so virtual for the 14th, and then you can do the
In
next
person
meeting after
for
that.
July 12th.
So do you want to set the 2 meetings, the 14th and the 12th?
Why not?
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much, everybody. And I want to wish everyone luck going forward. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Dennis. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Thank
Kevin?
you, Dennis.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Dennis, and I'll second that motion.
And we'll go to roll call. Eileen.
Yes.
Kevin. And I'm a yes also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.